Brandon Crow watching from Hockey Canada. Writes in and he says, my wife and her two sisters all played NCAA Division I hockey. They attribute it to waiting around that chute as kids and using those prairie oysters as hockey puck. Shooting them for the dog. Here's
Bingo!
one. All the raw testicles that I collected one day, I put them in a margarine container. Remember the old Imperial margarine that had the purple crowns around it? I put them all in there, and I took them to a party, a bush party. You've been there, Moose. You weren't at that one, but you've been to them. And I was going to cook them. I was going to cook them and make people eat them and not tell them what they were till after. But it didn't matter because Philip Kenyon took one, popped it in his mouth, crunched it raw. And he was smiling, and the blood ran down just like this.
He knew what it was?
I will never forget. He knew what it was. Philip Kenyon.
That was Fear Factor before there was Fear Factor with Joe Rogan.
I know. Beer might have been involved. But the next time that we're driving to Montana, I'll show you exactly where it is, because a lot of stuff went down at that site. A lot of stuff. I'm not going to go any further, but just remind me later. I'll tell you about the bikers that were on their way back from Sturgis from the rally that stopped at our party.
Get ready for the Rod Pedersen Show.
Maybe tomorrow I'll tell you guys about the big game that I went to in San Antonio with Snoop Dogg. Remember that one, Clark? The Lakers and Spurs? Snoop Dogg and I went, Bob.
How about that?
Snoop Dogg was sitting courtside. I was up in the nosebleeds, but we were in the arena at the same time. I was there with him.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Hi, everybody. Yes, it is. It's RP. And oh boy, I'm excited. We're changing things up a little bit here to open a brand new week on a Tuesday. We're coming in hot. Episode number 1074 of your favorite daytime sports talk show, now in close to 2 million more homes on Shaw Rogers Channel 230. Always on the Game Plus Television Network, WQEE Radio Podcast and YouTube Live. I'm in Florida, as you can see. Darren Moose DuPont is in Toronto. We're being broadcast out of Regina, Saskatchewan, directed and produced in Toronto on television and Atlanta on radio. And I hope you're ready for a lot of fun over the next 2 hours, Moose, and our viewers and our audience. I just can't wait. You and I talked earlier today. You said, there's a million things to talk about. I've narrowed it down to 6 here in the warm-up that we'll get to, but what would you like to talk about the most, sir? Show is one half you.
You know what? There's so much that I want to talk about. I feel like between the weekend and football, the CFL versus college, which really got going. I know it was week 0 a week ago, so I really want to get into that. But before anything, I want you to tell me more about that FAU game, because first of all, it was cool to see you down there. No worries about anything. You got the photographer's bib on the sidelines. And how was the college experience?
Okay, I'm glad you asked. Thank you, Moose. I've been going to FAU games the last couple of years, but I never applied to go as media. And I thought, well, I'm here now. I'm going to be here. It's week 1 for them. Their home opener. Might as well go, right? And I'm very grateful. People need to understand this, young broadcasters. They want to know, how come I can't have what Rod has? It's 35 years, bro. These teams have all checked me out and this show and my career. And they're like, yeah, come on in. NFL, NHL, NCAA. And Katrina with Florida Atlantic University, she's like, okay, you can check in halfway down the field. Your photographer's bib will be there. And I'm like, I didn't apply to be a photographer, but you know what? Let's do it. So I did. So I you know me, I got everything I need. Technological gear and so forth. So I got in there and was on the sidelines. It was Tom Herman's first game. The game, by the way, took 3 hours and 44 minutes to play. That's just wrong. You understand in the Canadian football, like University in Canada, you've called those games. 3 hours is not unheard of. We try to stay away from 3-hour games in the CFL. This was almost 4 hours long, and it wasn't on national television. It was streamed. Other than that, it was fantastic. So that's my thing. And, of course, Friday night I was at the high school game at Cardinal Gibbons, and that was great, too. How was your university call? You called the Canada West kickoff game yourself.
It was awesome, and we learned a lot. I was in Winnipeg for the Manitoba Bisons and the Saskatchewan Huskies, who have been to the last 2 Vanier Cups. They haven't won, but they've been there. Now they're without Mason Nias, who is the Heck Crichton nominee. They had this young quarterback in who's got a cannon of an arm, but he threw a couple picks in the first half. Manitoba was up by 18 at the half, but when this kid figured it out, at halftime, it was ping, 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 and the Huskies came back and won by 3. So I'm excited. For the season, it was a great way to start it off.
Can you hit the quick stick show horn, Director Joyner? I know you're sitting there just finger on the, just waiting. So there you go. Thank you. 20 days until the Florida Panthers play their first game. By the way, it's a doubleheader at FLA Live Arena, which I understand is going to be undergoing a name change here coming up shortly, the home of the Florida Panthers. 20 days. Until then, it's going to be a heck of a lot of football. And as I talked to my 12-step sponsor, Bob, I talk to him every day. You know him. We both said it's kind of overwhelming, but just getting a handle on all the football, let alone college itself, but also NFL, Canadian football. But how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. So I'll say this. So everybody's come here today to talk about Canadian Football League stuff because we are in the throes of their season. And I will tell you that the EMJ Marketing text line is open, 902-518-3033. It's provided by EMJ Marketing. They'll supply the right keynote speaker for your event. Contact Joe at emjmarketing.com today. So our point one, the Canadian Football League has suspended Saskatchewan defensive end Pete Robertson for a game following his headbutt of Winnipeg quarterback Zach Collaros in the Labor Day Classic Sunday in Regina. The CFL announced the suspension Monday following the Riders' 32-30 overtime home win over the Blue Bombers. According to the CFL, Robertson will serve the suspension when the two teams meet Saturday in the Banjo Bowl in Winnipeg. Late in the fourth quarter, Robertson batted down a second down pass from Collaros. Afterwards, he went up and headbutted the veteran quarterback, knocking him to the turf. Initially, there was no penalty called, but a late flag was thrown, and Robertson received a 15-yard unnecessary roughness call and was allowed to continue playing. I'll just sashay over to the EMJ Marketing text line. Rick has, there's a shot of it. Thank you, Clark. We don't have the video. I'm not sure that we're legally allowed to roll it, but there you go. So we got a one-game suspension. I'd be far more upset if Zach wasn't wearing a helmet. It was mask to mask. So we'll get to the suspension and what we think about it in a moment. Rick in Martinsville writes in and he says, "Oh boy, Rod, you got them Bomber fans all riled up. Just skim through a Bomber page and they have your take as a heading. They certainly are an insecure bunch. Well, I felt it had been a little too quiet around here. I needed to kick the hornet's nest a little bit, and we sufficiently did." I have people writing me going, "What do you think about the suspension, Rod?" I'm like, well, what do you care? I think it's not. I think it's too much. I don't think it's worth. It's a fine. It's not a suspension. And then they jump down my throat. I'm like, you asked. And 10, 20 years ago, for sure, that is literally, that's nothing. That was happening on every play back in the day. So the game has changed. I understand that. I respect that. I think it was too much. But now you got Winnipeg all frothing and going nuts. So listen, I'll get to the poll question in a moment. Darren, your take on just that incident, the headbutt itself.
Is it fine worthy, suspension worthy? I think it's right on the line. And I think this is, we got to bring back the word supplemental discipline. I think this is one of those situations that applies that, there was a penalty on the play, which ended up extending the drive and letting Winnipeg score the touchdown. So there was some penalty on the play, but I think if he had been ejected for the rest of the game, we're not talking about a suspension now. So I think, they acted in this way, and I think it's only because of the head contact. I think, we're trying to establish that, you can't touch the head, especially of the quarterback. And now it's, other players too. You can't target the head no matter what. We're seeing it in hockey. Doesn't matter how hard it is. I think the fact that it wasn't even a football play plays into it. So I think it's okay, but I think it's right on the line of whether it's a suspendable or not suspendable offense.
Hey, everybody writing in, pardon me, with their comments. David in Winnipeg. I can't get to all the comments. I understand you're all hot and bothered, everybody, and I get it, but just hang on. I know we invite audience participation. I could sit here all day going back and forth with the audience, and we probably will, but we only have 2 hours. David in Winnipeg says, Moon and Rod, do you think Zach handled it appropriately the way he did when addressing the media? By complaining about it? Zach normally doesn't say anything. Trust me, I know. I was the broadcaster on the team. Normally, he doesn't give sound bites in interviews. He was ticked off. What do you expect him to be?
Yeah.
But I will say this, what they're also upset about in Winnipeg with my take, and trust me, I firmly believe this, my feet attached very firmly to the ground. They're very, very upset that they lost the game 32-30. They're directing it all, Robertson and Ryder fans and me, and it kind of conveniently gives them the excuse to not talk about why they conceded that rouge or did whatever they could do to should have got that ball out of the end zone, which set them up to lose the game. Zach wasn't very good. The offense was in the starters' blocks for the entire first half. They weren't good. So my point is a headbutt. Boo-hoo. And incidentally, I don't care who wins. Regina and Winnipeg are our 2 top cities for viewership. Our analytics show that, so I'm not picking sides. I just found it rather cute what a lot of the media in Winnipeg were doing. Not, the least of which Bob Irving, the Hall of Fame voice of the Bombers. He isn't anymore, but he was as if the CFL has any integrity, they'll suspend Pete Robertson. I'm like, to me, that's outright daring the Canadian Football League to suspend the guy. And I didn't think they'd cave and do it. I really didn't. Your thought, what do you think about the media reaction out of Winnipeg regarding the headbutt?
Well, it's their quarterback, and you think instantly it's got to be a suspension. I wonder, too, Rod, if these 2 teams weren't meeting next week or this weekend in the Banjo Bowl, would he have been suspended? I think that plays a role of managing the game, which, some fans will say you shouldn't be managing the game, just call the rule book. Well, you are managing the game because you're trying to avoid problems. If you don't suspend him, you're leaving that kind of stick of dynamite on the field with a fuse ready to be lit, right, and go off. So you suspend him and just say, you know what, whether it deserves a suspension or not, we're going to save the Banjo Bowl from any of this distraction and just play the game, and then we'll just move on. So I think that has a lot to do with the 1-game suspension, the fact that they're playing again right away.
You bring up a good point, though, and it was the last game I ever called as a Rough Rider, I guess. 2018 playoff semifinal in Regina. Jackson Jeffcoat took the head off our starting quarterback, Brandon Bridge, in the playoff game. Knocked him out of the game. And they went on to win. And nobody said jack squat about that in Winnipeg. Nothing. So, again, trust me, I'm over. I forgot about it till somebody brought that up. Jackson Jeffcoat taking off Brandon Bridges' head in a game, and nobody in Winnipeg said squat about that. So I guess let me just say this. My Facebook post from our show page has close to 1,000 comments. Might be over 1,000 now. People saying some really mean things out of Winnipeg. And some Rider fans, too, at me. I missed it. I missed it. If you look at the DMs, your show is the most garbage show on television. Oh, thank God you're paying attention. If they weren't talking about us, I'd be really worried, right? So the poll question today for Key Auto Group, and at the Key Auto Group, you can buy with confidence, knowing that they provide reports on all vehicles they sell. Get fully informed about your next vehicle by going to keyautogroup.ca. How do you feel about the suspension? I say it's too long. The majority voting for it's just right. I saw over 80% saying it's just right. And then too long, not long enough, split. And there's that. So we're going to move along. You can vote over the next 24 hours on Twitter and YouTube. Thanks for playing. There were other games, folks. The Toronto Argonauts and Calgary Stampeders were Labor Day winners in the CFL Monday. The Argos defeated the Tiger Cats 41-28 in Hamilton, improved to 9-1. Ho-hum. Stampeders, though, scored 22 points in the fourth quarter to edge the visiting Edmonton Elks 35-31. The Stamps, who snapped a 3-game slide, improved to 4-8. and the Elks fell to 2-10. So I don't know what you're I didn't watch much of the Hamilton-Toronto game. We were out doing stuff. Watched most of the Calgary-Edmonton game, and for me, I was happy Calgary won. You like to see teams win their home games. Huge crowd there. It was all great, except for Edmonton wilting in the fourth quarter. So I just got a kick out of my friends Terry Jones up in Edmonton, the legendary columnist for the Edmonton Sun, Eddie Steele, Eskimos alum, going, time to get back on the bandwagon. How can we not be excited about this team? And then, but they're still excited. Edmonton couldn't win 3 in a row at this point. It would have been too unbelievable in the script. Nobody would have believed it. Darren, if we're following a script here of what's going on, the right things happen in the CFL on the weekend. What do you think?
They did, but it's no longer that the Stampeders beat the lowly Elks, right? Or the hapless Elks. The team in Edmonton is a football team now, right? They're a football team that we're going to take seriously no matter who they play in the CFL now the rest of the way. And the question will be, can they win enough games? They're going to have to win a significant amount more than they lose. But can they win enough games to be in the playoff conversation come the final 3 weeks of the year? That's yet to be determined. But to me, the way they played this game and kind of the last couple of weeks, they not put the league on notice that they're a Grey Cup contender here. But they're a real football team again, and that's a really good thing, and that's going to make the West really interesting here the rest of the way.
We got a lot more coming down the pipe. Kirk from Toronto, watching on Game Plus TV, writes in on the EMJ Marketing text line. He says, nothing can be better than the Argos beating Hamilton on Labor Day at the Donut Bucks in Florida heat. Saw beer cans being thrown at Argo fans. I didn't even tell you, at the high school game Friday, I thought there was going to be a fight in the stands. It made me uncomfortable. We'll talk about that a little later on. Chris in Heidelberg, Ontario says, LOL, I said on Friday that the streak for Caleros had to end sometime. And it did. Wilf in Steinbach, Manitoba writes in. He says, hi, Rod and Moose. Great effort by the Riders. Brain fart by Pete Robertson. Caleros went down pretty easy. And why didn't the Bombers rush to confront Robertson? But it deserved a game suspension. They're saying Zach flopped. I'm not passing it along whether I believe he did or not, just what they're saying. Chad in Minnedosa, Manitoba writes in, and he says, I can't listen to the show live today, but I know the Bomber-Rider game will be a big topic. I was at the game. I'm a Bomber season ticket holder. The Riders outplayed the Bombers in all 3 phases of the game. They were the better team and deserved to win. They whipped their butts. They actually did. Sask did, and that's what they're bad about over in Winnipeg. And they're just misguiding the anger towards me and Pete Robertson. Point 3 is week 1 college football notes. We'll carry this over into the next segment. But I want your take on the audience's take on the transfer portal. And a guy this morning got me changing my mind on that it's a bad thing. And that Colorado went from a 30-year doormat, the Buffaloes, to the biggest story in week 1 of U.S. college football. Is it a good thing or a bad thing what Coach Prime has pulled off there in Colorado? And some of the other big games, Blue Jays, NFL, and a little hockey stuff. This, by the way, is live. This is no green screen behind me. Darren can vouch. I would change it up a little bit. I got some TV folks that are saying, hey, you live in the most beautiful place in the world. Why don't you show people? That's what we're doing, man. And it's fun to be on the air on our first show of September, isn't it? Something like that. We'll be right back. WQEE Radio podcast and YouTube Live.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Opening a brand new week on a Tuesday, it is our show at 1074. Coming your way from South Florida and Plus TV and Key Radio Falls. Live and I'll be there 20 days in on the show. Hitters in a doubleheader. You see the play here. So set them hockey. We can bring them in at any time, guys. I'll put this forward for my favorite hockey team on the globe. Tonight is the Regina Pats Blue and White intro squad. And you get in and Saturday.
You jinxed it, Clark. You jinxed it. You jinxed it. He brought up in the break that there was maybe a little bit of latency with Rod's internet connection. Maybe a little. It's not bad. And then coming out of the so that's okay. You can wear that one. Look at Rod wanted to get into NCAA college football. I made out that he was had just mentioned the Regina Pats Blue and White Inter-Squad game. That's coming up. I got the email about it as well. God's team, as he likes to call the Regina Pats, one of Canada's oldest junior hockey league, junior hockey teams, plays in the Western Hockey League, the Canadian Hockey League, but college football. And there were some doozies on the weekend when it comes to NCAA college football. And guys, you know the drill. When Rod's back, throw him on the screen. The least of which was last night. Duke, if you can believe this, Duke in an ACC battle upset the number 9 ranked Clemson Tigers. Unranked Duke beat the number 9 seed, the Clemson Tigers. Okay, let's bring in Rod. We got you.
Hi. Sorry.
Hi.
I don't know. I wish I knew a little bit more. Yeah, I wish I knew a little bit more about tech, but Clark gave me some instructions as to what to do, and I feel like I'm fine. And, hey, you're doing a great job there. There's something weird going on with the internet here today. Okay. But tonight is the Pats Blue and White game, and it's one of my favorite games of the year anywhere. Because you know why? The Pats can't lose. It's the Pats versus the Pats. You know, the end of training camp before preseason begins, and it's $10 to get in. And initially I thought, that's too much money for a junior hockey intra-squad game. And then I thought, well, when I first began in 1995, calling the Regina Pats games when I was 22, it was $2. Maybe it's time they bumped up the cost of getting it. So it's $10 and a non-perishable food item for the food bank, and then $15 if you don't bring a food item. So anyways, that's tonight at the Brand Center. And, yeah, that was my main point on that. So I don't know what's going on here, Moose, with the internet, but we're getting through it. And we are fine. So to the college thing, we got to talk about the college thing. Because I had an audience member, he's probably watching right now, his name's Devin. He's like, you really got to stick with the college football thing, man, because everybody's getting onto it. Obviously, in the betting world, it's huge. BetRegal is our exclusive betting partner and on the RP show. This upcoming weekend, it's FAU home to the Ohio Bobcats. That's Nathan Rourke's little brother, Curtis. If he plays, because he didn't play this past weekend, and they did win. Without Curtis Rourke, Ohio beat Long Island University, the Sharks. We mentioned earlier that FAU won here the first game under Tom Herman, but the quarterback for FAU was a transfer from Nebraska. These players are going everywhere, and that's the point that I kind of wanted to get to. The poster child for the insanity that is college football right now, and I think you would agree, is Deion Primetime Sanders and the Colorado Buffaloes. He switched schools. He brought 80 players with him, and then they go into Fort Worth and win at TCU on Saturday, 45-42. The defending national runners-up. I saw you tweeting about it, how wild the game was. It was one of, and I was watching it pretty closely, one of the few big upsets of the day. And I put a poll on Instagram. Are you cheering for Coach Prime or are you not? Because his bravado, he's got his own Prime stitched on his own jacket. He's wearing $3,000 sunglasses. It's always about him. But that actually attracts a lot of people, too. It turns a lot of people off, but a lot of people are magnetized to that, and they like it. So I guess to clarify and land the plane, Moose, I was upset the Blue Jays gave George Springer $25 million a year. And Mike Wilner said to me on this show, it's not your money, Rod. It's a good point. Why would I be upset about kids jumping schools twice and playing for 3 schools in their university tenure and coaches doing the same thing? Why would I care? I shouldn't. So maybe I don't have a problem with the transfer portal. You?
I do and I don't. I mean, the spirit of the transfer portal is one thing. Using it as a bona fide free agency or a way to make trades probably is abusing it or finding the loopholes. But if the loopholes are there, who am I to say you shouldn't exploit them and use them if you can do it within the rules? Deion's interesting because he is, yeah, you said a magnet, and he is. He's that personality that people just want to be around, though, especially these kids who, you know, Deion's big on social, and he's all about the brand and getting it out there, and I ain't hard to find. And kids want to be attracted to that because they see the spotlight. They see that as an opportunity to be seen, to get noticed, to get to the next level, right? And now we're talking about Travis Hunter. He said maybe, that he could be a Heisman winner. And, Deion's son, Shedeur Sanders, throwing over 500 yards. Now he's going to get a look, at the Heisman or the NFL draft or these other things that come along with being in the spotlight. So I don't necessarily hate it. The issue that's going to come around is that all these other coaches, all these other programs are going to hire a coach and say, you see what Deion did over there, Rod? You got to do that here with Eastern Tennessee, right? Or Eastern Michigan. I need you to do that. I need you to turn this program around, and you got 2 years to do it. Or you got to do it in a year. And the reality is, Deion Sanders, they're few and far between, right? Not every head coach is Deion Sanders. Not every head coach is that out there and that has the bravado and is going to be that aggressive and is going to be that magnetic that players are just going to jump to just follow him blindly wherever they go. Deion is rare. So this may be happening, and 80 players came across to Colorado, but I don't think that's going to be something that we see routinely in college football.
Who knows? But I guess the point is it's given everybody a reason to watch and either cheer for Colorado or cheer against Colorado. Whatever. It's got people interested, and that's what the whole idea is. So, by the way, I apologize. I'm not ignoring you. I'm just trying to get back online here with my commentary. Yeah, internet issues happens everywhere, right? So stick with me. Oh, yeah. You were going to go to Michigan, but you decided not to go to the Big House. We were talking about that this morning. Is that still
Yeah, that was going to be the plan this weekend. I think it's going to be not a game time decision, but close to it. You know, trying to manage my schedule, calling games, university football games in Canada, out west, and where the open weeks were. There's an opportunity to go to Ann Arbor and watch the game on Saturday, so may do that. The only other one that worked into my schedule was the final game of the year, and that was the home game against Ohio State, the big rivalry game. The problem is it's been sold out for months, and tickets on the secondary market are $650 a pop. So probably not going to go watch Michigan Ohio State at the end of the year.
Okay. Well, there's always next year. So yes. Okay. Now rocking and rolling. 902-518-3033 is the text line to reach us in the studio. It's presented by EMJ Marketing. Nice work, boys. 902-518-3033. Carlos in Indianapolis says, you're breaking up, Rod. I think we're good now. They do want to talk about the CFL games on the weekend, and I get that. I think you made a really good point. I've never been able to look at it from the league's perspective, and after 35 years, I never will. I think I'm not going to now. You brought up a good point. If we suspend them for a game, it diffuses the whole situation, and now nobody's mad. Even the Riders can't argue we deserved a one-game suspension. Winnipeg's not so mad because he's now been disciplined. The game Saturday, if it hasn't been announced as a sellout yet, it will be. What do you think the atmosphere will be like? And by the way, who do you think will win? Like I was talking to a football coach on either Saturday or Sunday. I can't remember. We're like, what are you thinking about this Labor Day game in Regina? I said, I think the Riders going to win. He goes, I do too. And it was just a feeling that I had. But the Riders don't generally lose on Labor Day weekend. I think they're now 38-17 all time. Whatever that winning percentage. Gosh knows I'm not good at math. We've discovered that. But they habitually lose in the Banjo Bowl. So I don't think they're taking any momentum into Winnipeg this weekend. I really don't. Winnipeg lost to a third-string quarterback. Quite frankly, when the dust settles, we'll look back on the 2023 Labor Day Classic in Saskatchewan. Rocky Butler game in 2003, the Kerry Joseph game in 2007. Right? It was a one-off. It's different. There's trends and records don't matter, but they don't usually go to Winnipeg and win, not unless the Bombers are junk. And this Bomber team is not junk. So I think Winnipeg wins this weekend.
Yeah, it's got that making, of a game like that. And you look at even the overtime, on Sunday. The Riders go down and score. They make the 2-point conversion. And then one play, Caleros in the end zone. And they just didn't make the 2-point conversion, or that game continues. This has a bit of a make. They're on the edge, teetering on the edge of like, Winnipeg could blow them out on the weekend. It has one of those games where they're like, so mad that they lost and played so poorly that they just have a week of like, we're going to run you and we're going to bear down and we're going to grind and then we're going to win this game emphatically on Saturday. So that could happen. I expect it to still be not a blowout, but it's easy to see how Winnipeg could come back and win this game. They split the 2 weekends and move on. I could see it.
A couple quick points here. The Toronto Blue Jays scored 3 runs in the 10th inning and edged the Oakland A's 6-5 Monday. Clutch hits by Santiago Espinal, Kevin Biggio, and Spencer Horwitz in the 10th generated the key runs. The Jays trail the Rangers by a half game now for the 3rd American League wildcard playoff berth. But I swear, with the NFL starting up this weekend, we talk about college in full swing, the Jays move to the back burner fast if they haven't already. And I do want to spend 90 seconds on this. Like Hockey Notes, has this just been the quietest offseason ever? Not just in the NHL, but overall in all of hockey. And by the way, our hockey coverage is brought to you by Common Crown Brewing Company. Head down to the tap room Thursday through Saturday, noon to 8 p.m. Check out Common Crown Brewing at commoncrown.ca. They will be sponsoring our sports updates and our hockey coverage. But, dude, this is my 3rd season now covering the NHL in terms of front lines. There's been nothing go on since the first week of free agency for the most part, save for Austin Matthews' extension and stuff. But, I mean, the last week, what's happened? Like nothing.
I know. And isn't this what the CFL, this is a dream scenario for the Canadian Football League, is that the NHL goes quiet, NFL hasn't started, and you've got the whole thing to yourself. The Jays are bad, so you've got the whole thing to yourself, and the product's been pretty good this year, right?
Yep.
You got some good quarterbacks, you got some playmakers, the games have been good. So I think this is a dream scenario for the Canadian Football League. I think the ratings have been on the rise. So it's good. They need to really continue to capitalize on this and continue this momentum as they move through the year, but into next year as well. But you're right. It's been really quiet. There was that. It seems like eons ago that we went through the Brad Treliving and the Kyle Dubas thing out here, and Ryan Huska and Daryl Sutter in Calgary. That seems like a long time ago. So you're right. Like everybody's been at the cottage and at the lake, and it feels like it's been just silent. But I think that'll change in 3 weeks.
Right away, yeah. Rick in Martinsville writes in, he says, I'm tired of hearing the Bombers played poorly. Come on. Yeah, well, they did, both mentally and physically. If you're tired of it, turn your television off. It's gotten into what's wrong with you? Phil writes in, he says, good day, good day. In regards to your poll question, one game seems fair. From what the TSN angles were showing, it seems Zach and the defense were yapping back and forth. We got to pick up on that in hour 2. Zach, they're saying Zach Klaus mouthed him off, so he deserved to get headbutted. You can't do that. Go talk to a cop. You can say whatever the hell. You stand there and yap like a damn little chihuahua. You can't turn and drill that guy. You just can't. You got to be a bigger man than that and have more patience. Just because somebody mouthed you off doesn't mean you can go drill them. Hey, God knows I wish you could. You can't. Okay, Moose, I'll see you in hour 2, okay?
You bet. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. I feel like we're just getting rolling. We're live on the Game Plus Television Network, YouTube Live, WQEE Podcast, and that's it. See you in a few.
Hey, Rod Squad, now you can join the team with your very own RP Show gear. Head to rodpetersonshop.com and get yours today while supplies last. It's just like we wear on the show, official RP Show gear at rodpetersonshop.com. Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Cracking the lid on a brand new week. Welcome inside the RP Show, episode number 1074. We are on the Game Plus television network, all across Ontario, of course, on Cogeco, Rogers Cable. Now, just over a week, we've been on Shaw Rogers Cable Channel 230. Thanks for joining. All right, from CHCH Television in Hamilton and the Ticats Audio Network, our friend Clint Bubba O'Neill joins us. And before we get to the other Labor Day games, I got to talk about yours, Bubba, if you don't mind. Ticats falling 41-28 to the Argos in a game that was never in doubt. I didn't watch it all, but I was following the scores. What was your take on the Argos romping to 9-1 at the Coffee Cup donut box on Monday?
Well, you know what, Rod? Hey, first of all, there's a lot of ambient noise going on. They're ripping out every balcony in my place right now. So it's like 24/7. I can't stand it. It's driving me nuts. So I apologize for the extra ambient noise that you might be hearing. A lot of grinding going on. But speaking of grinding, there wasn't a lot of grinding on the football field there. It was tough. There was actually a time there where they got it to within 7 points, 17-10 to start the second half, and that's about as close as they got. Hey, the Argonauts are in a completely different league than the Tiger Cats are in right now when they have a third-string quarterback. I mean, you're getting, I think, the benefit of it in Saskatchewan and some other places where Ottawa actually had a little burst there with the backup quarterbacks. At the end of the day, your quarterback is learning on the job against one of the premier teams in the league. It was great to have the home crowd, kept them in it for a little bit. But you're right. This game really was never close. I was really fearing the fact that if the Argonauts went up early on the Tiger Cats, their offense isn't really built enough to be in a comeback situation. The Argonauts were true to as true blue as they could be. They went up by 17-0 in the first quarter and just kind of, did what was required for the rest of the ball game to win and run away with it in the end.
Well, I'm not hearing a lot of angst out of the Hammer unless it's, I'm missing something. Maybe I'm too far away, but they're hosting the Grey Cup, Bubba. Newsflash to everybody.
Yeah.
And it don't look like they're going to be in it. So what's the panic feeling around there?
Well, I think it's controlled. I think there's an understanding. Remember, I mean, and I know you well charted this as we all did in the Canadian Football League. The big offseason move in the league was the acquisition of Bo Levi Mitchell. Right. And the guys played basically a game in a little bit, right, due to injury, and then came back, played a great game, I thought, in Ottawa, and then on one of the final plays of the year ends up breaking his leg. So it's been really, really unfortunate. And then you get the likes of a Matthew Schultz, and you always want to have, in the Canadian Football League, you need to have an established backup. And he played well, and then he becomes injured. So I think from that point, the fan expectation has sunk. And I think the thoughts of maybe hosting the Grey Cup, they are beginning to dissipate somewhat. We'll say this. It's the Canadian Football League. I will say this. There's a time where Schultz and Bo Levi Mitchell will be back. And it's nothing against Taylor Powell, but the expectations of hosting the Grey Cup have sunk with the fact that you're riding out a third-string quarterback that is learning on the go. Fourth game was this week. So it's tough.
Ty, you're speaking like a true home team radio host. It's like, calm down. Just got to get it together in time. Hey, you've learned, buddy. Good job. Been there. Just let me, before we switch to the NFL, how would it go over in Hamilton if and when Chad Kelly and the Argos are playing in there and dressing in the Ticats locker room?
Well, they didn't really like it. What they didn't like, too, I don't know if you saw this. I'm sure the TSN highlights, I couldn't watch it again because it angered me so much, was the Ouellette touchdown pass and celebration where they brought out this anvil. I don't know. They had this anvil somewhere on the sidelines. Someone went to the sideline, grabbed an anvil, and as if they were pounding the Tiger Cats, they got this celebration, and it just annoyed people. And as you well know, with the Sask and Winnipeg, and of course the Battle of Alberta, no one wants to see this kind of stuff in your own building. So, and it's tough because the Argos are such a good club, but they really let Ticats Nation know about their dominance, and you know what? Then they were talking a lot of smack, and but then again, when you have the record they have, the way that they have played, really, Chad Kelly has been outstanding. Every game that he's completed, they've won. So at some point, you got to just let bygones be bygones and say, hey, you guys are pretty good, and good luck to you.
Well, if you don't like it, stop them. I've been around that dance a long time,
right.
too.
And you're right.
Right.
You're absolutely right. And it becomes that simple there, Rod, when they're that good. And, I just hope that at some point, as a Ticats broadcaster, a Hamilton sportscaster at some point, and I've got a little friendly rivalry going on with the likes of a Mike Hogan, who I know you've had on your show, that, we could rub it in their face eventually at some point. But right now, it's their time.
You're deep in Bills country. I'm deep in Dolphins country. Bitter AFC East rivals. What's the talk about the Bills as we are in week 1 kickoff?
All I'm hoping, Rod, is that, do you remember how much we were in love with the AFC West last year when Russell Wilson went there, and we were like, oh my goodness, what is going to happen in the AFC West? And it turned out to be one of the dog shows of the year. And so you add Aaron Rodgers to the New York Jets, who have just a heck of a defense, and he's got some tools there in New York as well. You never know what's coming out of New England. As long as the head coach is Belichick, I still fear. And now this Miami team, who've defeated the Bills and played them pretty competitively with that Skylar Thompson in the playoffs, the Bills are worried. There's no doubt about it. This is no easy jet to the playoffs or to win the AFC East even. So this is going to be extremely competitive. I see some really good football coming up. Home, as always, in the AFC, home field advantage will be massive. With the Miami and the Buffalo thing, it's like Miami coming to Buffalo later in the year when it starts to get a little frigid. And generally, we're going into South Florida when it is hot and humid. The game last year where the Dolphins defeated the Bills was a game where I have never seen so many players just basically lost because of the heat. Players were dropping like flies because of the humidity. And they all talked about it, too. That is true home field advantage. And in Miami, certainly, they practice in that stuff. The Bills certainly don't.
Oh, man, I was at that game, and the players, it was bad. There were Bills fans on the concourse passed out, and it wasn't drinking. I know those Buffalo people and Bill, it wasn't that. It was the heat.
Might have been a little mix.
They were propping them up and fanning. That was the game of the infamous butt punt. I have to be very careful with how I say that. It's a definite home team advantage. However, don't forget, Dolphins went up there in the playoffs, and it was a swing. The Bills won one in the cold, right? So it does play the other way, right?
It certainly can, but we're all on a red alert here. Again, this is another team. The Bills are, in my opinion, and again, I've talked to enough people in Western New York, and obviously being a Bills fan myself, it's going back to the Joe Ferguson days. That's how old I am. But the expectation is AFC Championship or bust. That's just what it is with this team at this point. They have drafted well. They have added a real good tight end through the draft. I think that Josh Allen, another year removed from in terms of getting experience and being one of the top athletes at that position, and really assuming that leadership position as well, too. Getting Von Miller back, losing him last year was massive. To losing him to what is a very good defense. So most of the guys are back on defense as well, too. You got the Hamlin story as well, too. He's back with the club. They're a motivated crew. But again, AFC Championship or bust. And you know what? Will it be Kansas City again? Will it be Miami? Boy, that would be a lot of fun, Rod.
Well, everybody's in first place this week. Bubba, thanks for the time. I appreciate you. Say hey to Twos for me, please.
Absolutely. And Twos loves you guys. I mean, we were talking about it on the broadcast about the Labor Day rivalry and how fun it was, not only from the Hamilton and Toronto perspective, but also from the Winnipeg and Sask. What that game, and I know you've been talking about it, that game had everything. That crowd at that field, the overtime, the headbutt, what a game. And I just finished doing CFL this week and had Glenn Suter on the broadcast. And he's waving that green pretty thick. That was a special game. And hopefully let's see the Banjo Bowl be just as good.
That's why we call them classics. Have a good one, Bubba. Appreciate it.
Always a pleasure. Thank you.
We'll be right back with a sports update for Common Crown Brewing right after this. We're live on the Game Plus Television Network, WQEE Radio, podcast, and YouTube Live.
Hey, Rod Squad, now you can join the team with your very own RP Show gear. Head to rodpetersonshop.com and get yours today while supplies last. It's just like we wear on the show, official RP Show gear at rodpetersonshop.com. Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. you will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
It is going to be a quickie here, everybody. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to get to your comments, but maybe. Text line's open 902-518-33. It's presented by EMJ Marketing. But right now it's time for a sports update for Common Crown Brewing. The Toronto Blue Jays will be aiming to extend their win streak to 3 games tonight when they play host to the Oakland A's. Chris Bassett. Wait a minute. Are they not? They're in Oakland, are they not? Chris Bassett will be on the mound for the Jays, who start the day a half game behind the Texas Rangers for the 3rd and final American League wildcard playoff spot. Lefty Ken Waldichuk will be on the mound for the A's, who lost 6-5 in 10 innings to the Jays on Monday. The NFL regular season begins this week, and several star players could miss their respective team openers due to contract disputes. The KC Chiefs are dealing with defensive tackle Chris Jones' absence. The 49ers are without lineman Nick Bosa. The Colts will be without disgruntled 2021 NFL rushing champion Jonathan Taylor. How disappointing is that? It's week 1, and all the talk is of the holdouts. I'm just checking my score app. Yeah, it's Jays at Oakland. When they play the host Oakland A's. I read it wrong. That's on me. I was like 9:40 Eastern first pitch. They got to be on the road. The Canadian men's basketball team. Yeah. The Canadian men's basketball team, with a berth to the 2024 Paris Olympics locked up, will make final preparations today for the FIBA World Cup quarterfinals. Are you following this? I'm very loosely following this. Canada has a Final 8 date with Slovenia on Wednesday. Canada advanced to the quarterfinals with an exciting 88-85 come-from-behind victory over Spain on Sunday. Semifinals are set for Friday. I'm following it because I got close friends involved in it. Mike Morreale's tweeting about it, the commissioner of the CEBL, the Ticats great. Arash Madani's part of the broadcast crew over there, so good for them. It's not the biggest basketball guy over here. I got enough on my plate. Last minute of play in hour 1. Sports updates are for Common Crown Brewing. They've got the perfect craft beer for your enjoyment, featuring their Core 5, Good Company Hazy Pale Ale, Common Crown Crafted Lager, Journeyman IPA, Brewmaster Blonde Ale, and Cooper Smith Brown Ale. 4 of which sit below 5% ABV, making them the ideal beer for your everyday common affair. I had a brewery tour. Tyler, the brewmaster, when he talked about beer, his eyes lit up. So you're talking about a local Calgary brewery. Check them out. Common Crown Brewing. Hour 2 coming up with the Moose. We'll slow things down and get into a lot more of what you would like to talk about. We will be involving the audience. By the way, I'll be going on Winnipeg Sports Talk this afternoon. Seems like I've riled up fan bases of both teams, Bombers and Riders, which is just perfect. We'll be right back after this brief pause on Game Plus and Key Radio.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Good morning, Rod Squad.
Maybe tomorrow I'll tell you guys about the game that I went to in San Antonio with Snoop Dogg. Remember that one, Clark? The Lakers and Spurs? Snoop Dogg and I went, Bob.
How about that?
Snoop Dogg was sitting courtside. I was up in the nosebleeds, but we were in the arena at the same time. I was there with him.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Hi, everybody. Yes, it is. Welcome to your favorite daytime sports talk show. I'm down here in smoking hot South Florida, although not as crazy as it has been. It's quite comfortable now. It's a little like Canada. We've gone past Labor Day weekend and the weather turns. That's football. That nip in the air, and hockey is right around the corner. And, of course, fall baseball. There are those that say this is the best time of year. I don't know if Darren Moose Dupont is one of those. Let's bring him in. Darren Moose Dupont is in Toronto. I believe you are one of those people that thinks this is the best time of year in sports. Am I right in that?
Yeah, you are. I mean, I need hockey to start because it can never be the best time of the year, excuse me, without hockey. But it is. And speaking of the weather changing, it's in the 30s here too. But I just got somebody on social media showed me a screen grab of the Weather Network. They said 4 degrees in Saskatoon today, +4. Can somebody confirm that? Because no thanks, I'm good. Not yet.
Well, that's the time of year in Canada where you gotta wear sweatpants and a hoodie in the morning and take it all off in the afternoon. It's a pain. Here we're just sweating it out all the time. But hey, so a couple things I want to get to. Big ups to Bubba O'Neill for joining us in hour one from CHCH Television Hamilton, and also the Ticats Audio Network. Later on this hour, Corey Herman's going to join us. Speaking of hockey, now's a great talk with the coach and general manager of the El Paso Rhinos, and that is, Clark, the North American Hockey League. Is it not? It's got to be. North American Hockey League? Yeah. And he's from Duval, Saskatchewan. I know you never heard about it. We'll talk to Corey about that. But he runs a junior program down in El Paso, Texas, which is almost as far south as you can get in the United States. I'm further south than him, but hockey guys down here. A lot of CFL fans have tuned in today. We're in the teeth of that season, of course. The breaking news coming out of the weekend was that Pete Robertson, veteran Rough Riders defensive lineman, suspended 1 game for his headbutt on Winnipeg Blue Bombers quarterback Zach Caleros in Sunday's Labor Day Classic 59 Regina, so he won't play this Saturday in the Banjo Bowl. So we'll get to that. Coming out of the weekend, BC won at Montreal. BC was a victor. Sask won, as we mentioned. And then on Labor Day, Monday, the Toronto Argonauts and Calgary Stampede. Calgary more entertaining and heart-stopping fashion, scoring 22 points in the fourth quarter. But I want to welcome fans of all leagues here as we broadcast live on Game Plus Television, YouTube, podcast, and the Key Radio in Atlanta. I don't know how you feel. There's a lot of things I want to get to. I want to talk about the Swamp Kings series on Netflix. Finished that over the weekend. We'll get to that. And NFL Week 1. I mean, it is kind of overwhelming. I went to bed last night. I told you this morning on the phone, a little worried about what are we going to talk about. Not that we don't have enough to talk about, but what we talk about, will it be interesting? And that won't be a problem, I don't think, Darren. But the Dolphins open at the Chargers. That's where I'm at, Miami. The Dallas Cowboys are at the New York Giants Sunday night, primetime game. And I got money. Actually, no, not money. I got a chicken sandwich on the Cowboys winning at New York with my guy, Chris Sanford. Okay, so that's happening. The Atlanta Falcons, shout out Peach City. They got the Carolina Panthers in there in Week 1. That should be a dub. I would think that's a dub, Clark, for your Falcons against Bryce Young and the Carolina Panthers. What do the Titans got, Moose?
They're in New Orleans. They've got the Saints.
Ooh. How do you feel about that
game.
one?
You know what? We don't know enough about the Saints. I think they're a team that's underrated. They're not getting talked enough about. Famous Jameis. Is he going to, be able to get that team rolling? Is he going to be the guy? It's interesting. I like Tennessee right now. I like their offense. We haven't really seen it in the preseason. When they brought Tannehill in, all they let him do was hand the ball off 3 times. We haven't seen DeAndre Hopkins. We haven't seen Derrick Henry. The defense is good. So I'm okay. I'm feeling cautiously optimistic about the Titans.
I will get to as many comments as I can from the viewers and the audience because I said that I would. The EMJ Marketing text line is open, 902-518-3033. EMJ Marketing will provide the perfect keynote speaker for your event. Contact Joe today at emjmarketing.com. He represents me, Jim Barker, Mike Vanderjack, Stu Grimson, Paul Lapalisse. So you could put us all together. Wouldn't that be a trick, as my mom would say, or just one of us? Although I'm not available in Canada till next spring. But just putting that out there. I do want to mention this. So there's all the topics on the table. But, Darren, there's a way to not get overwhelmed by anything, and that is turn off the television and turn off your phone. It's amazing what it does for you. You know what I mean? So I came out of the weekend I was fairly chill. Like my sponsor, Bob, said, what'd you do all weekend? I said, 2 football games on the beach. Serena said, hey, feel free to turn the television on, Sports Center. And I'm like, yeah, think I'm good. Because you just get brain overwhelmed. And what I like about when I'm home, we sit and watch Netflix. And one of those things was the Swamp Kings chronicling the mid-2000s era Florida Gators. I think I'd watched the first 2 episodes of it before Friday. We finished it over the weekend. Have you watched all 4 episodes of Swamp Kings chronicling Urban Meyer, Tim Tebow, Florida Gators? Well, I would love to hear here I am asking for people's opinion. Yeah, because on the weekend I don't listen to people's opinion. Monday to Friday I have to because that's my job. I saw people writing in here complaining about Urban Meyer. He should never be around kids again. He should never coach kids again. He's too this, he's too that. I'm watching this going, what do you mean? So they work out military. So what? It's not, if you don't want to be part of it, you can leave. There's the door. That's what I don't think people understand. Show up on time, before time if possible, and give your best. It's all we ask here. And people act like he's a jerk. It's most winning programs are that way, Darren, and I've been in the business 35 years. I've seen it from the inside. That's why sometimes with these documentaries, I kind of don't understand what the hype is because I have lived it, but I forget that I'm lucky. Not everybody gets to live that way. What was your take on it?
Yeah, I mean, that's an issue. We call it entitlement, and there are certain things in life where, you can be entitled. I get that. There's certain things, but something like playing university football in the NCAA is not one of them. I mean, that's a privilege. You can make it or you not make it, and every coach is different. When you're hired to be the coach, you get to determine how your program is being run. And if you don't like it, there's other coaches that run things differently that are just as successful, running programs that are more friendly to the players and less work. But there's also tough ones. So you can find, there's different places for different people. But anyways, enough going too far down that tangent. I liked it. I thought it made us like Urban Meyer more, even though some people said, he should never be allowed to coach. I thought he had the opportunity to explain what was going on. I thought we saw a lot of self-awareness from Urban Meyer when he was sitting there in his home or in his cottage. I thought there was a lot of self-awareness, being like, I didn't know any other way. I wish I had done differently. This is, I only knew one way to go. We needed to get rid of some players. So I wanted to figure out who wasn't mentally strong enough, who wasn't going to commit. So we did that to get rid of players, and find out really quickly who's there and who's not. So I thought there was a lot of self-awareness. He didn't know any other way. And look, the teams were successful. Ultimately, it didn't last. But that's the way things go with coaches like that.
Wonderful analysis. And that's what I want to point out here. And we'll get back to, coming out of the weekend and looking ahead, the games too. But this is life stuff that I really enjoy talking about. And that's what I enjoyed too. Maybe the lady that wrote in, Leanne, and said Urban Meyer should never be allowed to coach again. Maybe I'm just taking that too much to heart because the guy's a winner. But as you said, I think it was the 4th episode, he's like, I couldn't sleep. I'm popping Ambien and I'm drinking beer and I'm sweating and I can't. That's not normal. Okay. This is the one thing I want people to know before we get back on track. That kind of stuff is not normal. I've lived in that life. I was drinking too much to handle stress, all that stuff. That's not normal. Urban Meyer thought it was normal because it was his whole life, right? So that's what I'm helping out people in sports at all levels. NFL, NCAA, NHL, we deal with this stuff, right? So I think I told you a troll wrote into our website on the weekend. He was like, I bet it really killed you not to be at the Labor Day Classic and not to be able to call that. And I'm like, are you not watching that I'm living my dream life? You don't get that? Wow. So I guess that's my point, is being able to have the door open to this whole other big world out there is really awesome for me, but I guess it's not for everybody. But helping people like Urban Meyer, that's what I like doing now. And being able to work in all the leagues. So back to this. Look, did you watch... Scale of 1 to 100, what percentage of Labor Day games in the Canadian Football League did you watch? Because I watched probably as much college as I did CFL, and I watched a lot of CFL, probably 80% of the games. How much did you watch?
Yeah, I was probably about 70-75% of the games I watched. Not every game start to finish, but I caught a little bit of each one. Overall, about 60-70% of all the games, yeah.
Right. Well, enough, right?
Yes.
Tank writes in from the Energy City just to bring in the audience comments. Tank in the Energy City says Swamp Kings wasn't the Untold Series' best work. They missed a lot of big issues on that team that a lot of people wanted to see. Have a good one, Roddy. What a classic! Which was my call after one of the Labor Day Classics. I can't remember which one. Well, you can't put it in them all. I said that the series we all want to see is Decade of Decadence, chronicling the 2005 to 2004 Saskatchewan Roughriders, 4 Grey Cup appearances, 2 national championships. I was the radio broadcaster, and then the fall since. They haven't been anywhere close to a Grey Cup since. That would be a good series, but I can't do the thinking for everybody. So some kid and his camera, you want to go out and do it? I'll do an interview for you. John in Edmonton says sports radio is back in Edmonton with Sports 1440 on AM radio. Thank you for the update, John in Edmonton. John writes that he says it was great to golf Deer Valley on the weekend and have Saskatchewan-style pizza and witness the first Labor Day weekend game overtime. Good times. Was that true? It was the first ever Labor Day Classic to go into overtime? Sounds about right to me. Can I say this? Because we do have a lot of audience in Winnipeg and Saskatchewan watching right now. I'm saying, look, I got fan bases of both sides enraged, which is fine, because it's what I want. I'm not cheering for either team. I don't care who wins. Anybody in the CFL, I really don't care. I was happy for Calgary that they won because they needed it. I'd have been just as happy for Edmonton. But Winnipeg didn't play a good game. Can we concede that? Basically, the guy's writing in from Martinsville saying, can you give us credit that we played great? You did play great. You kicked their butts. That's a fact. They did kick their butts. It shouldn't have gone to overtime. But Winnipeg didn't play great. They'll tell you that. It can still be both, can it not? One team played great, but one played bad.
Yeah.
So that's how you end up with a winner and a loser. Sorry to say.
Yeah, I mean, it's okay. I mean, just because Winnipeg played poorly, you're not trying to take anything away from the Saskatchewan Roughriders and the way they played the game. They still made enough plays to win and look pretty good. But Winnipeg wasn't the same Winnipeg. And even if they were, it's still going to be a good game. Saskatchewan played pretty good. But if they're going to beat Winnipeg at their best, they need to be even better as well. So it'll be interesting to see what happens on Saturday.
I think we will all concede that Winnipeg will win the Banjo Bowl because that is history is the best teacher. History is the best predictor of the future, right?
Yes.
Sask pretty much always wins on Labor Day weekend, and Winnipeg generally always wins the following weekend. Stephen from North Dakota writes in. He says, go CFL, go, as a reformed Rider fan. He was a Rider fan. He's not anymore. Just to clarify for everybody, Craig, our director of scouting, writes in. Craig Smith, he says, I saw 100% of the CFL games, and boy, I saw a ton of college games. Well, that's what you do, Smitty. You're our director of scouting. That's your job. We're going to have to break here right now, but this upcoming weekend, because of Prime, we got to spend a little more on this. Deion Sanders, we all know that Colorado's playing Nebraska this weekend. If it wasn't for Deion Sanders, we wouldn't know who Colorado was playing because we wouldn't care. We need to delve into this a little bit more, the flamboyant personalities of people, because so many of the leagues are trying to suppress them. I've got people writing me about the WHL training camps and preseason games. I'm like, I don't care anymore. There's no personality. They've killed it. They've killed it. Greg Drinnan's not even blogging about it anymore. I don't care. Where's the color? It's dead. And you got prime time coming along, and now I care. College football, right? And the NFL personalities this way. You kill them all, there's going to be nothing left. Now you got one guy, and he really stands out. Prime time. We'll be right back. We're live on Game Plus Television, WQEE Radio, podcast, and YouTube Live.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
decades of power creates electricity. Electricity creates.
View Casino.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
We are back live on the old RP show on a Tuesday, coming at you from South Florida. As you can see, got some interesting messages have come in from the audience, which we'll get to. I'm here. Darren Moose Dupont is in Toronto. I will say we switched things up a little bit. Darren can now vouch that this is not a green screen behind me. That is indeed my neighbor's yard, and it's beautiful over there. Moose Richard writes in and says, can confirm -2 in normal for this morning. See us, everybody. As Serena would say, nope. From the audience, and we got a lot of messages have come in here. It is the teeth of the Canadian Football League season. If you're going to talk about it, now's the time. NFL doesn't kick off until Thursday with the one game and then the rest on Sunday, then Monday Night Football. NHL 20 days away before the Florida Panthers play Nashville in a doubleheader at FLA Live Arena. And I would like to broadcast the show from there that day. I got to get on that. But from the audience, regarding Swamp Kings, Leanne writes in to clarify her comments. She says, I was typing quickly last time. I meant Urban Meyer should not be allowed to coach in the NFL again after his antics, not going back with the team, going for a lap dance, etc. She says, I now love Tim Tebow. Well, I always loved Tim Tebow. I'll say this, and thank you for clarifying, Leanne. Craig Smith has said this, director of scouting. Urban Meyer's college tactics wouldn't work in the pros, and that's fair. They'll tell him to go jump in the lake. It's a different animal, obviously, and there's nothing wrong with it. Some guys can coach junior, can't coach pro. Some guys can coach both with success. Urban Meyer crashed and burned in the NFL. He ain't going back. And I will get back to that stuff. Allie in Texarkana, she says, that's a big nope from this Texas girl. That's not even... What did he say? It was -2 today, below freezing? That's just silly talk. But I'll say this about Tim Tebow. You got to make your personal opinions we were watching the show, and I shouldn't speak for Serena. She can speak for herself. But she's like, there's just something about that Tebow that I just don't really like. And I'm like, well, I did meet him in New York. I have photos of it. And at number one, he ain't 6'3", because I'm 6'3", and I was bigger than him. I have the photo of it. I feel like at least an inch taller than Tim Tebow. We're put together in slightly different ways. Let me just put that out there. But I have no reason to not like Tim Tebow. I don't think there's anything under the surface with Tim Tebow that he's hiding. You can't live that public of a life and never screw up and be hiding something. I don't think he is. Do you?
No, I don't think he is, too. You saw it in the Swamp Kings documentary. Like, he didn't party with his teammates. You know? He's as true to the Tim Tebow that we get across the screen, I think, as you can imagine. Now, I can't really say that knowing him personally or spending any time with him, but, you know, I believe you just can't. Like, he is pretty authentically who you think he is.
I think he is. I can tell you this. He could not have cared less that I worked in the Canadian Football League for a generation. He could not have cared less. But that's fine. I don't hold it against. From Jeff, I know I've told you that before, but Jeff, the Stamps fan, writes in. He's had a lot of comments today. We haven't read a lot of them. I'll read this one. He says, I must leave in a few minutes and likely will miss tomorrow's show, but I'll leave Rider fans with this. In the Bible, it preaches an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. Well, I got to point this out. Nobody got hurt. It kind of, with the headbutt from Pete Robertson. I think, does that matter in handing out a suspension? I don't know. I'm the wrong guy to ask about betting. I'm the wrong guy to ask about discipline in sports. Like when the NHL hands out a suspension, where did you come up with that? You obviously spun a wheel or you threw a dart, which is fine. Does George Parra still hand out the suspensions in the NHL? Because I sat with him in the Stanley Cup final, by the way. Should have taken a selfie with him, but I was so in awe. I'm just getting used to this, being around these guys all the time. It's a dream for me. And Serena said many times after that Stanley Cup final, when she was up in the press box, she's like, I get it now. Just being around it is what we want. I'm like, yes. You know? So next time I'll ask George Parra, how do you come up with this stuff? But having said that, I'm not the guy arguing with Randy Ambrosie or Darren Hackwood or the CFL head office or whoever comes up with these things. I don't have a problem that he got a one-game suspension. If he hadn't been suspended, I wouldn't have had a problem with that either. Probably a fine. But as I say, that stuff used to go on all the time. Andrew Harris in Winnipeg a couple of years ago ripped a rider's helmet off, for God's sakes. Didn't even get a flag. You see what I'm saying? Like, Richard Dirksen once sat me down, the top disciplinarian in the Western Hockey League, and he just said, Rod, I was bitching about something they did or didn't do. You know me.
Yeah.
And he goes, Rod, I could show 10 guys one clip, the same clip. I could show 10 guys the same clip, and they would take it 10 different ways. And I never forgot that. You see what he's saying, right? Like,
yes. Yeah.
Thoughts before I continue?
No, you do. You see it many different ways. The fact that you wouldn't have been upset if he hadn't got a suspension, or if he did, you thought it was a fine, but you can see how it could go one way or the other. So really, you can't be that upset about it. But you're right. Everybody sees it differently, and everybody has a different reason for why they're doing certain things or why they give certain punishments like this. Like we talked about earlier, like you got to protect the quarterback's head. It wasn't handled on the field, as in he wasn't ejected from the game. So you look at supplemental discipline, but also they're playing each other right away. So you're just preventing a further incident. You know, whether if they'd have been playing Ottawa, would they have suspended him? I don't know. Because would it have caused as much of a problem if they had just fined him instead of suspended him? Probably not, right? Because they're playing Ottawa. Nobody on Ottawa cares about the headbutt.
No, well, it's not cut and dried black and white stuff.
That's right.
And I think you've explained that very well today, far better than I could. But again, I don't I don't understand that world. That's why I need to be sat down by people. But the nice thing is I generally get it after they do sit me down.
Yeah.
Listen, we just go offline here on YouTube. It's a me problem, not a you. To be, internet's not my thing today. Because, you didn't know me. But it's on another, it keeps flipping back and forth between Wi-Fi networks. It's causing a problem here. Troy in Toronto writes in, before I go blank, he says, I'll be watching if Colorado Buffaloes can take down more top teams. I find it fascinating how a team can turn it around in 1 year through transfers and a hype-driven coach to succeed. Thank you for pulling us back on Toronto, because you see, we put in the nail of our show, Deion Sanders today. Again, Mike Wilner. Thank you, Mike. Me bitching about George Springer getting $25 million a year. Not your money, Rod. Good point. I stopped worrying about it. Why do I care about the transfer portal? Doesn't affect me. Enjoy the football. Go Buffalo. Incidentally, I believe is Richie Hall's alma mater. I guess overall, it kind of depends how you look at it, the transfer portal and college football, right? Just enjoy the ball. That's really all I should do. You?
Just enjoy the ball. But you're right about the hype. Like, I have become a Michigan fan since we decided on this show, and you're Alabama, and I've dug into Michigan. I'm actually a fan now. I actually like the team. I follow them, and I was excited for the start of the season until I realized that Prime was playing against TCU, who had gone to the national championship, beating Michigan, by the way. So I watched that game instead of watching Michigan. Like, that's how much the hype and everything can get a hold of you and change the games. It can make you not watch your own team because I want to see what's going on. And I was compelled from start to finish in that game, Colorado and TCU. And now I'll be watching the Nebraska game next weekend, and I can't wait. So storylines, things like that. That's why we're going to watch Texas, Alabama this weekend. Steve Sarkisian against Nick Saban. They almost beat him last year. And now they come back a year older. They were unranked last year. Now they're 11. There's so much more intrigue. So storylines, intrigue, personality. That's why we watch.
It ain't freaking boring.
No.
It's not. And that's why, it's why I don't have it. Listen, I was 20 years with the Regina Pats. You're locked down to one team, and that was awesome. But now I'm not getting locked down to one. Like I saw Bubba O'Neill come on here with his Ticats jacket yesterday. I see Ed Tate wearing his Bombers head to toe. Rob Van was like, I've been there, done that. I don't need to wear the team stuff. I don't. Who was writing in here? It's cool that they do, but I don't. I want to sample everything, and if I want to cheer for one team 1 week and the next, I'm going to do that. Where's the guy? Scott M. writes. He says, love the shirt, Rod. Great swagger. Yeah, don't have an endorsement deal with them. It's not team apparel. I don't care. But I look at FAU. If you want to look at it, I'm kind of getting between a couple attitudes. One very close friend of mine who's a coach of the States said to me on the weekend, you might have read it in my column, he's like, it's too volatile in college football. You're going somewhere else every year as a coach. Players are doing the same thing. He's got a fan like where I'm at. Because my phone's ringing all the time with offers. I say, no thanks, stop calling, because it's too volatile. But that's for them. What do we care? So here at FAU, Tom Herman. I was reading Serena the story about why he came to FAU, because he'd been out of football a couple of years after Texas. Head coach of the Owls here, and he's like, I can't live in the real world. Which incidentally is a lot like me. I didn't really tell you this. I went to the FAU game, accredited as the photographer. I'm looking around at all the media, and it's largely, pay attention to this, Smitty, our director of scouting, it's largely kids. For the most part, kids. I'm like, are you out of high school? I'm not only old enough to be your dad, I'm fast getting towards being old enough to be your grandfather. And while it's awesome that they're doing it, I'm like, well, as one guy said to me here, he's like, show them how it's done, Rod. And I'm like, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to be me.
Yeah.
Right? Take the photos, cover this team. But you got to, they got to learn from somebody. So my point now, I'm kind of migrating away. Alabama will always be my team because they have been since the 90s. But I'm kind of pulling for the Owls a little bit. And as you said, Ted in Red Deer writes in and says, love the awesome background, RP. Thank you. It's live. It's live. Sorry, I should never have paid attention to that. Got me off track here. But as you said, this is the eye of the hurricane, aside from Texas, Alabama this week, which is awesome. Yeah. FAU, Ohio is a big one for Canadian fans. You want to explain why?
Yeah, Curtis Rourke, who we haven't seen play more than just a little bit in the opener before he got hurt, is a really juicy storyline and a potential top pick in the Canadian Football League draft. And it's captivated a lot of people. Will he go number one? Will he be selected in the first round? Is he just going to go to the NFL because of what Nathan's done? So that's going to be fun to watch. You know, we're following Ohio and the Bobcats to see how they do and see how Curtis Rourke does. And hopefully he plays this weekend. And we'll all come back here on Monday morning and we'll eagerly await your report on Monday. So I'm excited for that.
Yeah. And follow the social media of the show, right? Because we have some fun stuff up there. I mean, to be honest, college football, she's like, can you imagine 100,000 in the big house or the Horseshoe or wherever they do get that big of crowds? I said, no, I can't imagine it. Because there were about 12,000 at FAU Stadium on Saturday, and it was ticking me off. She was like, oh, I think we can sneak in another episode of Justified before you go to the game. It's, as you know, walkable from my house, but I'm too lazy, and I drove the Jeep. And it took forever to get in there. And I'm like, pay 12,000 people. The stadium holds 30. Been bad for a while, and it's going to take a while to get onto this team. But guess what? Tom Herman comes in here, gets a quarterback from Nebraska through the transfer portal. All of a sudden, they kick the crap out of Monmouth the other night, 42-20. Bob's your uncle. They're competitive again. That's a good thing. So we're going to take a... That's the point. It's like one-year contracts in the CFL and NHL for that matter. It's a good thing. We'll be back. By the way, Corey Herman is to our final segment from the El Paso Rhinos. Looking forward to our chat with him. So Moose and I will return right after this. We are live on Game Plus TV, Key Radio, and YouTube Live.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
Hi, my name's Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
We are back at it here on Game Plus and Key Radio. Just sports update ready to go. As a matter of fact, I'm going to read it now, guys. Before you, Chris Bassett will start for the Blue Jays tonight as they continue a 3-game at Oakland. The Jays won Monday's opener 6-5 in 10. They're now a half game behind the Rangers for the third and final wild card spot of the American League. Meanwhile, Shohei Ohtani's agent says the Angels superstar is determined to continue his career as both a pitcher and a hitter. Ohtani recently tore a ligament in his pitching elbow. The agent thinks Ohtani will need a procedure, but says they're still gathering opinions on whether that should be Tommy John surgery or a non-surgical remedy. Ohtani will continue the Angels DH for the foreseeable future this season. Sports updates for Common Crown Brewing Company. They have the perfect craft beer for your enjoyment, featuring their core 5, Good Company Hazy Pale Ale, Common Crown Crafted Lager, Journeyman IPA, Brewmaster Blonde Ale, and Coppersmith Brown Ale, 4 of which sit below 5% ABV, making them the ideal beer for your everyday common affair. Check them out. Common Crown Brewing, so happy to have them aboard. Okay, Moose is with us. I've made a slight adjustment, Moose. We are now hardwired. Serena thinks there might be a chance of I'm too far away from the router here. Who knows? How about that? Could be the case. It seems to be fine. So, Allie in Texarkana writes in. She says, Justified is so good. Love me some Raylan. You said you haven't watched anything of Justified. You know, if we made references, Moose, you would have no idea what we're talking about.
Right over my head.
Yeah. So I said to Serena, who gets more women? Let's use that term. Tim
Good
Tebow
idea.
or Raylan Givens? U.S. Deputy Marshal Raylan Givens. Just to give you an idea what he's all about. It's basically, I think I tell you, it's Ray Donovan meets Beverly Hillbillies.
Yeah, you did.
I give you an idea. Yeah.
Netflix or what's it on?
Yeah, it's on for us, it's on Hulu. You got that?
Okay. It's on Crave, I think, then in Canada.
Crave in Canada. Yeah.
I bet.
Paul Jefferson writes in and he says, I watched the Humboldt Broncos green and gold game at the EPA and then came home to watch the Riders' overtime win over the Bombers. Sunday was a good day. Listen, let me get back to the comments here. Here's how bad my eyesight is. Number one, Allie's writing in talking about how hot Raylan Givens is, and it makes me slightly uncomfortable. I was driving around downtown Boca this morning. As you know, you saw my photos and stuff where I was.
Yeah.
There's a sports bar down there, downtown Boca, which we don't go to a lot. It's not that far away, but we don't get down there. It looked like Hunks Sports Bar. A tree with hunks underneath. I'm like, why would any guys want to go to that aren't into hunks? You know? And then I got a little closer. It's Hijinks Sports Bar. Not even joking. Hunks, hijinks. Yeah. True story. regarding the Labor Day collapse. You can look it up. That's the area. Go look up on your maps. That's where I was this morning, plotting world domination.
Yeah.
Carson writes in, he's in Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan, regarding the Labor Day Classic weekend of the CFL, and he says, Dolegala is the real deal. Riders will win this week, 28-24. Still be crying about the headbutt in Winnipeg. I guess that's kind of my point if we can look at this objectively. And by the way, people, you can say the most meanest things to me. It doesn't bother me anymore. It used to bother me. It doesn't anymore. Winnipeg, you got beat by a third-string quarterback. That should be embarrassing. But Dolegala did play very well. Is he the real deal? And when I say the real deal, Darren, I mean, is he a guy that could be a franchise guy in the Canadian Football League, 6'7" Jake Dolegala? I'm not sure, but he's playing pretty well right now. I've got to give the guy credit.
He's playing pretty well. I think we still have to be patient because you look at Jake Mayer in Calgary. They touted him as the next guy. It's been a little slow to get started. It's going to take some time. Dustin Crum in Ottawa, similar. But he's got the tools. I mean, being as big and tall as he is and the arm strength that he has is great. He seems to have leadership skills. Like, people seem to like him in that huddle and in that on that sideline. And he's got a personality. We saw him do the post-game interview all bent over at the waist to talk to Britt Dort. Like, that was fun. And he's got personality. We need our quarterbacks to have a little personality in our stars. So he has the tools, but we need to be patient. You can't anoint him after just a few games.
I appreciate chiming in the Hockey Club podcast. Pedersen, former Regina Pat, the Sizzler. He writes and he says, don't forget to hype up the official college football team of the RP show, the Florida State Seminoles. Huge win against number 5 LSU Tigers. You're in Florida, Rod, not Alabama. Go Noles. Yeah. And by the way, Sizzler, which you'll all to me, we're going to be coming through that area at Christmas. So have your phone on. You have my digits. That's up in the Texas Panhandle, Moose. We're planning a pretty exciting Christmas, New Year's holiday. It was through there. If you remember last year, we went through South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia. It was Scott M. writes and he says, Dolegala reminds me of a young Tom Brady. Rich, number one, just stop. And number two, I was at Macy's yesterday. You have to understand what it's like here in South Florida. Like, America loves football, but South Florida, it's so far and away number one. I went down to buy some Nespresso coffee pods. You know, the Theo Special Coffee, Moose?
Yes.
And Bloomingdale's doesn't sell them anymore. They're like, as of last January, we don't sell those anymore. And I'm like, well, that's... Well, I'll grab some of these T-shirts, some of which I'll be debuting on the air. I had a Dolphins dry fit T-shirt, a Buccaneers dry fit T-shirt. I'm throwing them down on the counter. And this lady behind the counter, older Italian lady, think Sophia Loren. Patty, you hearing me? And she's like, oh. She's like, Tampa Bay, Tom Brady. And I said, no, he is retired. He's in a retirement home down here somewhere. And she's like, I don't think so. Like, basically, she'd take a run at Tom Brady if the situation presented itself. You know what I mean? And she had to be in her 60s. And then I was wearing a Cowboys thing. She's like, football season right around the corner. Well, I was wrong. Right around the corner. Right? She's speaking in that Italian thing. And I was just, like I say, if Tom Brady would have come around the corner, I would have had the cash register all to myself. You know what I'm saying?
That's
we got
incredible.
Corey Herman ready to rock. Clark, what's the sitch? Okay, Moose, we're gonna let you go. No matter what, we got to run. But hey, great job today. Have a great RP show day, and we'll chat at you later.
You bet. See ya.
We anticipate a special guest coming up after this. If not, we'll get through it with audience takeover in overtime for Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary. We're live on the Game Plus Television Network, WQEE Radio, podcast, and YouTube Live.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Hey Rod Squad, now you can join the team with your very own RP Show gear. Head to rodpetersonshop.com and get yours today while supplies last. It's just like we wear on the show, official RP Show gear at rodpetersonshop.com.
Hi, my name is Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. DDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
All right, let's everybody for Overtime, proudly presented by Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary, 28th Street Northeast, where skill and fun collide, or as I like to call it, an amusement park for hockey players. Follow them on social media, by the way, Overtime HL. For sure, that's what it is on Twitter. Go look them up on Instagram. I said they have the synthetic ice there. It's kind of funny. First time I walked in there, Kevin the Medium. Where is Kevin the Medium, by the way? He was, look at that synthetic ice. I'm like, I seen it, Kev. It's been around for weeks. Not that it isn't cool, but. So, yeah, they were open all weekend. Looked like they were very busy. We don't have Corey Herman yet, and doesn't sound like he's going to be trying. Gotcha. Okay. Corey Herman, El Paso Rhinos, North American Hockey League, will be with us shortly. Anyways, from the text line, 902-518-3033. This is not disturbing, but it's an inside joke. Buffalo Bill writes in from North Dakota. He says, Buffalo Bill is looking for women. You're looking for women and you're watching the show, you came to the wrong place. And I'll say Jason, but so Jason in Winnipeg writes in, EMJ Marketing text line. He says, hey, Rod, Winnipeg didn't play up to their part, so hats off to Saskatchewan, but the Bombers are going to come out swinging at the Banjo Bowl. Go Blue. Signed Jason. And the poll question for Key Auto Group today is, what do you think about the suspension for Pete Robertson of the Rough Riders for headbutting the quarterback? 1-game suspension in the Labor Day Classic. Just right, not enough, or too harsh. And the majority is just right. Okay, we got him now. We are going to, I believe, El Paso, Texas. Corey Herman joining us from the El Paso Rhinos. Looks like he's wandering around down there. CEO of the Rhinos. How you doing, Corey?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm very well, man. Good to talk to you. I got to, just for the audience sake, he's from Duval, Saskatchewan. I might have driven by it once in my life on the highway between Govan and Strasbourg. Right, Corey? Does it still exist?
Yes, sir. Yeah, it still exists. We just got home. We're back home in Duval for about 10 days. We're out there, and it's actually, I think it gained a couple people. I think we're almost at 100 people there.
The booming metropolis. Okay, so tell me, what does the CEO of the El Paso of the North American Hockey League do at this time of year here in the first winter?
Well, during the summer, we just get everything ready to go, the rink ready to go. Like, we also run the arena here, so we run all the youth hockey, adult hockey, all that fun stuff at the rink. And then, and then we're just getting ready for the season. Like, all our guys, the coaching staff, the scouts, they're all, recruiting our players, and the guys moved into town about a week ago, and we're getting ready to hop on the bus and go to Colorado for our first game on Friday.
Oh, wow. So you're at it. Listen, good friend of mine by the name of Joe Domini used to be the radio guy down there in El Paso. Do you know Joe? Is he still kicking around, Joe Domini?
No, I don't think so. No, I haven't. I don't think so. I haven't heard of him.
That's fine.
But yeah.
I'll be looking him up later to see where he's at now. But those minor radio guys. So tell me about the history of hockey in El Paso, if you don't mind, Corey. I know you've been around there for a while.
So I came down here. I played for U of R. I played in the Saskatchewan League, and then I played at U of R. And then I moved down here to El Paso in in 1999. I played. They used to have a team in the Western Professional Hockey League. I played with them in 99, 2000, and then I got hurt, and I basically kind of took over their youth hockey program, and took over the youth hockey program and grew that, and then the Buzzards left. I think it was in 2002, and we moved into it was an old equestrian center. We transformed it into a rink. We get about 2,800 people in there, and then we didn't really have anything to kind of grow the sport, so we looked at bringing a junior hockey team here. We brought the Rhinos here in 2005, played out of the Western States Hockey League for, I think it was about 12 years out of that league, and then during COVID, we bought the franchise to move. We always wanted to be a part of the North American Hockey League. North American Hockey League is one of the best. It's one of the best junior hockey leagues in the States, and so we ended up buying the franchise there, and now we play out of the North American Hockey League.
Sounds good. Well, talk about where are all your players from, man? That would be quite a trip, because I know what hockey is like here in South Florida and Texas. It's a little more advanced, but you're not dealing with 20 local players.
No, so our players come from all over we get 6 imports. So we have some guys from Europe, got some players from Canada, but the bulk of our players are all over the United States. Minnesota, up in there and stuff. So yeah, we recruit them, from everywhere. But yeah, I think this year the North American Hockey League, I think we surpassed 300 Division I commitments out of our league. So it's a very good league, and gets a ton of Division I commitments out of here.
So what's the outlook for the Rhinos this year?
Well, I honestly, I think it's looking pretty good. This is our third season, and our two coaches do an unbelievable job, and by the looks of it now, like, it's looking good. We're super excited, and we've got a hard-working team, and we're excited.
Well, I'll tell you what, I follow you guys. There must be some killer road trips. So we'll be pulling for you. Great to hear that things are going so well for a Sask boy. Anything else before we let you go, Corey?
No, I just watched that Rider game on Sunday, but it was a heck of a. That was an awesome game. So yeah, we cheer on the Riders down here. Yeah. That's for sure.
They're the greatest game in the new stadium ever, which it's only been open since 2017. But yeah, it was BC work certainly doesn't hurt. Well, Corey, good luck with the season. Let's do it again if you don't mind.
Absolutely, anytime. Thanks for having me.
Corey Herman, you betcha, the CEO of the El Paso Rhinos, North America. I'm just looking at their home schedule here. Jackalopes, Texas Roadrunners, New Mexico Ice Wolves, Texas Brahmas, the Wranglers. Get a follow on Twitter, the El Paso. Been quite a day. We'll see you back. Who's going to be with us? I'm going on with him in 20 minutes time to talk Banjo Bowl and Labor Day Classic. Thanks to Bubba and O'Neill, our entire crew. See you tomorrow. Here it is, noon Eastern here on Game Plus. And
who has more fun than us?